Every day is the same. A sunrise. Going to work or school. Coming home. And a sunset. For some, the simplicities of everyday life are not easy. While great progress has been made with racial justice, interracial couples are still viewed as outcasts.
Just the awkward stares that you get for
We do get treated different.
People have come up to me and said that I'm Dominican. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
People have come up to her and said she's mixed, and she's not.
There were some African American women sitting at a table eating in the food court, and older African American women, and one literally caught my eyes and stared me down and glared at me and looked at him and glared at me again like, what are you doing?
The type of racism has changed. So it's less blatant. It's less of this individual racism where you see members of different racial ethnic groups outright hating another person because they belong to a racial ethnic group. Although that does exist a little bit. What's more common is more of this colorblind racism.
Racism is not a new thing. White supremacist groups began forming in the late 1800s. Holding rallies and marches proclaiming white power, the Klan grew in number. By the mid-1920s, the KKK had an estimated 6 million members. The Klan began to hold public executions of African Americans, including public hangings, lynchings, and even burning people alive. As racially driven hate crimes became more common and more public, the minorities began to fight back. Starting in 1954, the Civil Rights Movement brought together African Americans and many other Americans to fight for equality for all races. Despite the immense progress in the last 50 years, racism still exists, even if it's on a different level.
This photo posted to social media shows two University of Dubuque students wearing what some are calling blackface.
White supremacists seen in a Facebook video from July 2015. Their pickup trucks flying Confederate battle flags pulled up to a birthday party for a black child in Douglasville. At trial, they were found guilty of yelling racial slurs, threatening to kill partygoers, even the kids.
It was quite a scene Saturday with both pro and anti-Trump demonstrators throwing punches.
Turned into a stairwell face-off with pizza being thrown at officers and officers shoving the crowd back until they were outside and off City Hall steps.
All we are asking for is peace.
It's not the first time that police tactics have come under question in Berkeley. Last month, UC Berkeley exploded in a violent protest.
Throughout these rising racial tensions, there are some who simply do not see color.
It does not matter that he is black, and it wouldn't matter if he was any other race either. He was him in a white guy's body or Asian, Indian, it wouldn't matter to me, because it's his personality that I ultimately fell in love with. She's
an incredible person, and whether she was white, black, I do appreciate the fact that she is Hispanic, but it's not a necessity.
It's just happened to be her, how she treated me, how she was, how she took care of me. I just loved her for that, so I don't really care the color. It's just her insides that I love about her.
I don't too much look at the color, really. I mostly look at the way that they treat me, how I feel. She pretty much fit in all categories, so her being white, not so much. I don't really look at the color.
When I met Richard, I don't think I was thinking, oh, he's black. He just had the qualities that I desired in a man.
A woman who loved God first. I wanted a woman who had a big heart. I wanted a woman who loved people, and race was nowhere on it. Didn't really matter, and that's exactly what I feel like I've gotten.
I'm Ileana Capion. I'm 23 years old. I just turned 23. I go to school at Austin Peay State University, and I'm studying communications.
Sean Coleman, I'm 21 years old, from Lafayette, Indiana. We're both very involved on campus. She has a pretty big role in the communications department.
And now let's head over to Christian Christensen for a look at your gun sports update.
I like to help out as much as I can with the different organizations that I'm a part of. Well, I was here at the university playing football from 2013, fall of 2013, freshman then, and then she came and
I transferred in. I was going to school in California at a community college, and I got scouted here for cheer. And so I was a cheerleader who's a football player. We had a mutual friend that was on the cheer team with us. His name is Connor, and he kind of introduced us.
We've been married 9 years, and I'm Shannon, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and we have 4 children.
Here in Clarksville, I'm a pastor in town, and so it's my full-time gig, and we've been in ministry for 8 years. We met in church about 9 years ago, and Shannon was there with a bunch of her friends, and I was hanging out with my friend, and we would all kind of get together and have game nights and kind of get-togethers, and I would tell jokes and she would laugh at them, and I would kind of find my way always sitting close to her. And it just kind of happened to be that I was a big Rat Pack fan, so like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., all those guys, and there was I worked in downtown Nashville at the time, and so right beside my office was TPAC, the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, and so they had this big Rat Pack tribute show, and so I knew that she had like Fred Astaire and Gene Autry and those kind of guys, and I thought, well, maybe she would be interested, so I asked her out by, how did I ask her out? By email back in the day.
And that took about 3 days to respond.
Yeah, she didn't respond, and so I called her back, and I actually called her on the phone. I said, so, you know, what are you thinking?
And I said yes, so.
Yeah, so we went out on our first date and kind of realized we kind of liked each other, and actually it was 364 days after our first date we got married.
I'm Monica Johnson. I am 30. Well, April 12th I'll be 30. Veteran, MP in the Army. Now I'm working at the Sheriff's Department at Davidson County Sheriff's. And me and Michelle, we've been together for 7 years, married too.
My name is Michelle. I'm 28. I'm originally from Germany and currently live in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Pretty much anything that we can do that get us out the house, pretty much. Traveling and
fun stuff to do outside.
We met in Germany when I was stationed there. It was at a bar.
I was a bartender.
And I guess I saw her and we just started talking from there. I didn't know.
Love first sight.
As these couples try to live their lives, a few things become very apparent. Racism is still ubiquitous, and loving someone who looks different from you is still intolerable.
It's almost that sign. It's like that sign of the ring, you know, the symbol of the marriage. And I think that when it comes to dating, they may not see it as the final answer, like the final step, whereas marriage, they may see it as a final step. And so taking that step, putting on that ring, sharing the front door, and actually committing to have a family together may just be a little bit more challenging for people to accept.
I, being from California and where I was raised, I had never really realized that racism is still something that exists, or that's prevalent, or that discrimination is something that still happens.
We could be 30 minutes from Clarksville and get the looks and the stares.
It's like a record scratches when you walk in the room.
You can just feel that kind of tension.
What you doing around here, boy?
Yeah, that kind of, you can just feel it without words. Yeah. The eyes, the stares, the watching us.
I think Tennessee is really racist, I would say.
Certain areas, especially, I would say the Kentucky side, I would say would be more racist than Tennessee.
One of the, I guess, racisms that still exists pretty prevalently in our society. We tend to be pretty segregated. You have communities like up in Gary, Indiana, Detroit, Michigan, that are almost like 90% segregated, meaning that if you look at the data, you have neighborhoods where an African American lives where most of their neighbors are also African American. It's almost like we have the African American area, the Hispanic area, and then around we have the suburb, and it's the majority white. And so I think that because of that, because of issues like that, you still have, I guess, neighborhood segregation, you still have some separation.
You know, you look at the church, for example, I'm a pastor, but Martin Luther King said this, you know, back 60 3 or wherever. He said that, Sunday morning is still the most segregated time in America. 10:30 or 10 o'clock on Sunday morning is still the most segregated time in America. And you can see it even in Clarksville. You can see it anywhere in the country. But you go down, we have a church on Tiny Town Road, and you have an all-black church, you have an all-white Baptist church, you have an all-black Baptist church, you have an all-Korean church, an all-Hispanic church. And we do that to ourselves. And you referred to a basketball court, and it's generally people that either live in the same neighborhood or people that just are more comfortable being around a certain type. They flock to each other. And I think that's probably a natural thing that we do as people. But I would say the reality that we do that also doesn't help us move beyond that.
In the 60s, in the civil rights movement, it was the whole separate but equal case. And we fought that and fought that and fought that all, and that's the crazy part is, I think we fought it to where we still like separate but equal, we just weren't equal. You know what I mean? But now it's separate but equal, but we're like equal. Yeah, we're more equal than what we were. Like, I think people wanted separate but equal. So if I sit here and I'm with my group of friends and I can actually drink at whatever water fountain I want, just as long as I'm with my other friends, that's cool. And then we can drink at the same water fountain as them, just as long as we don't have to associate with them. You know what I mean? Just as long as we're equal and we don't have to associate with them, that's cool. And that's where we're at. And I think that's so sad.
And it seems like we've made a lot of progress with race ethnicity, but it also seems like we have had a recent backlash. It's almost like when we see racial ethnic groups make progress in society, there seems to be a backlash.
Racism is gonna always be there. It might not be as strong as it was back in the day, but racism that's just something that's just gonna always be, just like a black person or a white person is gonna always be here.
I think there's always going to be a heart inside of people that is capable of racism. I don't think you can eradicate that. There's racism with, for example, I've traveled around the world. I've went to Bolivia, and there are Bolivians. The culture is 8% Bolivian. There's not very many people that live outside of Bolivia, but the mountain people don't like the city people because the mountain people are perceived darker, more country, backwards, and the city people, they're into the world of technology and so forth. So there's racism within inside of a culture. So I don't think you can eradicate, the disease, so to speak, of racism forever.
In the face of this ever-present racism, these couples show that acceptance is a choice.
We went to Poland several years ago, and there wasn't a lot of diversity, but they seemed to be accepting of us there.
But we went home when we were dating or right after we got married to my hometown, and it's like you could feel that. It's like, what the heck are y'all doing?
Yeah. I would say in the United States, I think is more accepted because, it's been around for a while. It's something that people are used. I would say it's coming around more. You see more interracial couples in the United States versus in a different country.
The world is becoming more global. You have a lot of pop stars that are different nationalities and embracing it. It's no longer a society where in music and stuff we're sitting there hiding who we are, which is pretty cool. So I think everybody kind of wants to be with somebody that embraces what culture they're from.
I think that it is becoming more acceptable in a way, especially amongst the younger individuals. So the Pew Research Center actually asked this question, or a similar question to this, and they found that about 37% of individuals surveyed actually thought it was a good idea to have interracial marriages.
Called her dad up, and I was like, hello sir, I'd never met him before. I just want to let you know that, I'm starting to date your daughter. This is who I am. I just want to let you know this is what I do for a living. And just kind of giving him all kind of my resume, and there's this little silence on the phone. I could tell he was thinking. He said, I heard you're black. I said, yes, sir, I am. He said, okay. And
he's pretty accepting of everyone.
He was cool with it.
And he was always like, as long as they love the Lord, because faith is important to us, and then color didn't matter.
You know, if your family have it to where, you know, race, it shouldn't matter the race, it shouldn't matter the color, or what, you know, country or whatnot you come from. People are people. We all bleed the same blood. If you treat people with respect, you get respect. So I think it all stems off of how you're brought up, how your parents or, you know, your elder kin folks express it to you.
I don't think people are born to see colors and see differences like that. I think it's instilled in you. So if your grandparent or your mom or dad is sitting there telling you like, hey, you can't talk to them because they're this color, or they don't belong with us, they don't eat with us, then it's like, oh, if you're raised like that, you know no different.
I feel like people should learn to just accept people for who they are and what they are.
We're all the same.
I feel as though who you fall in love with or who you love, it shouldn't matter the color, the race, or where they come from, their background. I think people should be more accepting and understanding, you know, this is who you are, this is who you love, this is what you want to do in life.
If people would accept interracial couples, they could see the many benefits that loving beyond color can bring.
Learning each other's culture, like me understanding how Germans work, or even like the Japanese side of things.
Cooking is really different.
Yeah, like you really didn't use a lot of flavors and
it was really kind of
bland. Yeah, and so when we got to married and we started cooking and stuff, we would have different, I would throw some of that in there, throw that in there.
And also the way we cook, like I didn't fry or deep fry or do any, you know, real Southern eating.
You just see kind of traditions and cultures that you don't normally see with your own, you know, just your own family. So it's really cool. That's a huge benefit of it. Just getting to speak and hear all the different wisdom and just, you know, beliefs that people have in the traditions. I think it's amazing.
I would say it's a real big benefit in this city, living in Clarksville, because there's so much diversity in the city of Clarksville, and doing what we do for a living, we don't repel anybody. We actually invite more people closer to us. So we would be able to attract more people together than we would by ourselves.
A different way to view things. You're not just so set on like your one thing and your culture only.
But it makes it more hard for us.
It's harder, but I think it makes it more interesting.
Yeah. I think it also makes you more open-minded, not just with like race and stuff like that and culture, but just in general, like
people.
With people, yeah, you realize that people are just people, and everybody just wants to be accepted and treated nicely, and, you know, like given a chance.
While these are wonderful benefits, the ultimate benefit of interracial relationships is that they bring cultures together.
I'm Mexican Dominican, he's Caucasian and African American. Our child is going to be all four of those, you know, like that child goes out into the world, and whoever they end up being with, like that's another mixed child. Like that's so cool. It's just a big melting pot. So to me, I don't see how that child, I mean, granted, we're not racist, we don't have any of those type of beliefs, but to me, I don't know how that child could still go out into the world and be racist. Yeah.
As we have contact with members of different racial ethnic groups, then racism is going to go down. And the reason why is if you believe that racism is caused by ignorance, then as members of different racial ethnic groups contact one another, and as they intermarry, and as they move into neighborhoods and people start to see that they're normal human beings, you know, things like that, then theoretically you should start to see the level of prejudice, racism go down.
Like any couple, times may get hard, but these couples have a way of making it work.
What makes us work is, I would say, keeping the love there, keeping the humor, because I like to play a lot. So I think that keeps a relationship strong, the communication, being able to say what you like and don't like, and find different ways to go about getting it to work or mesh with our relationship.
I would say communication is the key. Like, talk about your problems, say what bothers you, just hear each other out. Just because you have a problem, I wouldn't like just run away from it. I just think like just stick together, have each other's back.
I try to be as open as I can be, and I think he does the same. So like if there's something that I'm not understanding, he tries to explain it to me from his point of view, and same for him. Like if there's something he doesn't get, he'll ask me about it, and we're very transparent when it comes to stuff like that. Like it's, if you have a question, ask me. If you don't understand, like ask me. If there's something that worries you, ask me, and it'll be answered. And there's no judgment. We don't get upset with each other over it. Like it's just, because it's genuine. We're both trying to learn about each other. And
when you're in an interracial relationship, you have discussions. You have to. Communication is such a key thing. Discussion is like, well, what are you telling me that I'm missing? Arguments are like, I don't really care. I'm not really listening. I'm just kind of arguing. And interracial relationships are just like that. Like you're trying to see from that person's perspective.
We both have understanding that we are both for each other. We're both on a team. We realize that we need each other. I mean, with the kids alone, we need each other, but I think in life, we need each other. We need each other's support. I need her encouragement, and she needs my encouragement as well. So I think the combination of realizing that we have each other's backs, that we're in it together as a team, and that we're for each other.
I mean, we just love each other for who we are. We don't try to change each other, you know. I think love can conquer, you know, many obstacles or walls or anything that we go through.
In the end, it's all about love. If we can find someone who makes us happy and accepts us, it should not matter the color of their skin.
You make me proud because you're such a good influence on everybody in my life, and you've done so much for me, and I don't think I could ever repay it to you. And I appreciate that, and I just can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you.
you've made me feel like I'm the only girl in this world, literally. Like I make a huge difference in your life. You taught me so much, not just about myself, but about life in general. You proved to me that there's love out there and to not fear it.
The last 9 years have been like the greatest, years of my life spent with you. Never imagined spending life with anybody but you.
You're my best friend, my soulmate. So glad to spend these last 9 years with you.
Michelle, I love you for, being you, being able to accept me for who I am, my background, how I was brought up, and, just being able to take care of me the way that you do. I love you for that.
And I love you because you love me with my flaws. Even if I'm bad sometimes, you still stick with me. And I love that you are so caring about everything. You're trying to provide for us, trying to do the best as you can. I love you for that.
Hopefully one day we can stop looking at the world and at people with hate. Hopefully one day love can make us all colorblind.